Hey everybody, my name is Garrett, founder of 10x.dev, where we help companies find Elixir developers and Elixir developers find jobs in Elixir. So if you guys are hiring, reach out to me. I'd love to help you and place those developers. All right, so today we're going to be coding through some LiveView testing. So basically we have a dashboard that we're building out for an SEO company to be able to track their performance for their clients. And we are basically displaying all the different locations that they have on a table. And so we are fetching out to the API and we're pulling those results in and then displaying them on the UI. And so what we want to do now is we're at the point in this video where we're going to be going through setting up a LiveView test so we can really start to test all the functionality that we have on the page. So currently, if I run mix test, we are going to see that we have passing tests here, which is great, right? So we got 6 tests passing, and then we have one problematic test here, where if I call this a page controller test, I get the connection. I'm logging out that connection, but it's just going to sit there. And the reason being is because it's calling this root path here. So normally I had the page controller test, and I have this locations live index page. So page controller test, you can see I'm just logging out this connection here, and it's calling the root and then expecting a hello world back. So this is like the default concase test that we get with the Phoenix generator. And if you navigate to this locations live, you can see I'm actually calling this I'm calling this list locations with report function, which you can see in the previous video we created. Basically, we're getting all the locations from this API, and then for each location, we're fetching all the reports. So that ends up being a very long request, and we talked about caching this going forward. But to start off, I really want to be able to see us implement a LiveView test. To be able to test this functionality, we can put mock data in there to begin with to be able to see, hey, is this data coming through from the API, and if it's coming through from this request onto the LiveView page. And so we have just a very basic table put up here, but we want to start testing this so that we can calculate things like this solve or sale of local voice here. We're going to do some calculations there where we're checking, what's the initial solve here, what's the current solve, that type of stuff. So we want to be able to start testing those functions and see what does that really look like. So initially, let's just take a look at local Falcon. We're going to do this guy here. I really want to see, if I just get the first location here, we want to be able to see what that UI looks like. Again, because we have that long request going. So let's actually just do, I want to like slice a couple off here so that we get enum.slice. Get a couple results back so that we only get so many. Okay, so enum slice, we're going to get passed in. So we get that locations list, and then we're going to say we want to slice like 0 to, let's just do 5. All right, so now if I close these, I want to see if I boot this guy up, start the server, I want to see what our table looks like now. All right, so we're just getting those 6 locations, right? Because we sliced off index 0 to index 5. So those 6 locations, we basically want to be able to calculate the solve here. So we're going to expect that we get back some of these reports with the solve in them. So you see these sale local voices are different numbers. So basically we want to be able to capture those and then calculate the solve based on that. So I think what we could do is just say, all right, we're going to capture this request here. Okay. And then let's go to a LiveView test. So we'll say, basically, what's the location of my LiveView test here? Let's see. So this is under Perseus Web. It's under Live, Local Falcon Locations. So basically, I want to kind of copy this path here. And then we're going to go to the test directory and Perseus Web. We're going to, let's see, what do we want to do? We want to create live directory. And we want to create a new folder called Local Falcon Locations, right? And then under there, we're going to do locations live test, and that's going to be an EXS file. And then in here, I think I have the docs pulled up for LiveView somewhere. So we're just going to see what this looks like. So I think these are con cases, so we're just going to use the con case that comes baked in with the Phoenix generator. So they have like a con case case template built out. So we'll just go ahead and utilize that. So we'll say dev module, and this one's going to be, how does the page controller look? They've got just Perseus Web Page Controller, and we want this to be really, we want it to map to our live module. So we'll take this and we'll say test at the end of that. We want to use the Perseus Web con case, I believe it's called. Is that what we just called it? Yep, Perseus Web con case. And then now let's go to this guy and say, all right, what are these going to be? Endpoint. Okay, so let's just capture this guy. Okay, so we got our imports there. Endpoint's going to be the Perseus Web endpoint. So we'll go ahead and capture that guy. And I think that's because Concase here checks what the endpoint is. Okay, so they actually do that for us. So I may not need to do the import plug con test, or yeah, we want the LiveView test though. Okay, and then I don't need to do endpoint. So they already do that for us in the con case, super nice. Let's import that LiveView test. And then I don't think we have anything else in there that we need. Okay, so now we got the connection there, right? Which we expect to use. And we can say that what do we want to test here? We basically want to test right off the bat that we're going to, view the data is going to be displayed on the table on the page here. So we're going to do a setup, and on this setup we're going to say I think we're going to do our bypass stuff. Now we have that test data that we grabbed. It's actually the real data, but we were calling out to the API, got 5 results, got them back, and now we're going to test that. So what we want to say is we're going to get the root here. We're going to go to the root. And initially when we go, we're going to land on this page and we want to be able to see the locations live. We want to be able to at least see something like H1 locations, right? Okay, we're going to see that. We're going to see H1. I don't know if we need that first one. Okay, so we're going to see that the locations is in an H1 tag there. We'll have this live thing going, and we'll say test that we display locations on the in a table. All right, and then here we really want to do our bypass setup, so we'll go to the local Falcon test. And we want to do these things. We have our sample data. We don't really necessarily care about testing the fact that we receive that. We expect it. And on this one, we're going to need to have we will actually need to have those reports kind of broken up. Okay. All right, so let's take a look at our data here. Oops. Okay, so we're getting one report for that one. This one's got a few reports. So I kind of like this one. So we'll just use this guy here. Right? So that will give us we want one location basically with multiple reports so we can start doing some testing on that. Okay, so now we're going to need two of the requests here. So let's see here. Let's get the one that we had. Okay. Go over here. So we actually had the two bypasses, right? One for locations, one for reports. We'll delete those sends. Don't need those. And then I kind of want to create these fixtures here. Support. Um, Fixtures. We're going to say local falcon.ex dev module. We don't have any fixtures yet, right? No. Fixtures.local falcon. And then here we're going to say locations. Start off with location, and then we want reports. All right, and then for now, we're just going to do this. So remember, locations did not have a reports key. That was something we added in. So we're just going to add that in as a fixture separately, and then those will be returned from that API. So reports there is a list of reports. Okay. All right. So now we can say, I actually don't know if we want that in a list, do we? Or in a string, sorry. For now, we'll just have that like that. Okay. And basically what we want to do is we want to be able to say that these specific API calls are going to return the data with those fixtures in them. All right, and then we're going to say def request details, and that's going to be, let's see. All right, so basically I'm going to have, this is the locations request deals or details where we just kind of get that wrapper, the two wrappers or whatever around our locations. And we're just going to be able to allow us to pass in some locations there, and it generates that for us in that string. Because we're going to need that to pass to the, we're going to need to pass that to the bypass, right? And then we'll just do the same thing here for the reports. So we have the reports request details. This was reports, I believe. I'll double check that. And that will be down here at the bottom. We have data count, next token. Oh yeah, we need the next token there too. And then reports. Other than that, it looks the same. Okay. Care about the count there? No. This needs to be a string key actually. So is this one, make sure it's proper JSON. Okay, and these should be lists. So we'll decode those lists or encode those lists into the string. Right, and this is where we could start doing like some faker data and stuff like that to make sure that these are solid. All right, so now we can go. Let's go to our locations live test here. And then we're going to say location. It's going to be Oops. All right, let's see here. We've got fixtures, local pack, and we want location request details. All right, there we got location, and then we're going to say okay, got that response. And then here we're going to say ports request details. We want to be able to pass in ports. And next up, it's going to be false on that one. Okay, so now we get these. This one won't be called once. It'll be called, yeah, that will be called once because we only have one location. Okay. So now, all right, now let's kind of just run this and see what we get, see where we're at here. So we're going to do mix test, and we want to just check out the Perseus Web Live, this guy. Make sure this is test watch, and then we're going to check out module, make sure this local file is not loaded. Could not be found. Okay. I think that's just because why is that? I'm gonna look over here and see. I feel like I have to do something with this, the support directory here or something. Yeah, I think I have to go to mix exs and then say, no, it says in test, it's supposed to test support. Oh, I didn't put it in test support. That is why. All right, so I'm going to move this to support, and then that should compile. Let's see if that worked. Yes, errors. Exactly what we want. All right, let's see. What do we got here? Okay, so we got our output there. And then we're just checking that we got the locations, but that wasn't in there. Like for sure locations would have been in this output. But maybe not. All right, either way, let's check to see, do we get HTML response. I don't want to just see what we're getting back here. Let's check the view. Let's check the HTML. I want to see. Let's see. Okay, what do I want to do next? How do I want to test this? Okay, so basically we know that we get a location, so we should expect that the location name is in there, right? We know that for sure. Location.name. Let's log that out. Okay, so we got that here, and we should expect that that's in the HTML. So we can say we expect that we at least get the location name in the HTML. Because on mount, it should do that. Let's see what we get. All right, that worked. And we can now expect that the expect that we get 3.5 on there for the solve, right? Which it's saying it didn't get. 3.5 right there. Might have to be in a string. Let's find out. And I want to see now, okay, what, yeah, that works. Okay, so let's check out the fixtures, and I want to see, first let's go to the local Falcon live, locations live, and we're going to say we don't want to IO inspect this anymore. Actually, that's fine. Let's IO inspect it. I basically want to check out what these solves look like. Well, these are all 0. Okay, well, that's kind of a dud. We want one with a bunch of different solves here. So let's see if I can find our response here. Any other solves that we got? Okay, this one's got one that has some solves. These ones are 0. That one's 100, 94, 83, 28, 44, 47, 44. Okay, this one's got a good one. All right, so I'm going to use this guy now instead for our data. So we'll go to our fixtures again, and we'll just update those. Where did I put that fixtures? Click that guy. And then we want to replace reports here. Oops. Replace reports with this guy. Okay, so now we've got some actual solves there. The other one was all zeros. We don't want that because we want to be able to calculate some stuff. We have our new location that matches that specific reports list. Our test should still pass because it's still predictable. Okay, so now we got our solves here. All right, so now let's just say we want let's just grab the beginning solve and see what that looks like. So this, we're going to need to start doing some calculations on there, but we're going to say the local Falcon test. Maybe we can clean this guy up too, actually. Okay, so in here, let's just we're just going to copy this guy. All right, so we're going to now say, all right, for these bypass ones, we're going to do, instead of sample data, we are going to say that dot. All right, I'm going to change these to create location. We create reports. Just don't want any naming conflicts here, so we'll do import Fixtures local Falcon. Okay, and then here we're going to say location, and then we're going to create location. Add location here. Okay, and now we're going to say, instead of sample data here, it's going to be that. Gotta clean this up a little bit. We'll basically have these just created for us, and now we won't have to have all this. Okay, and then now we're going to create a fixture for they failed with the message that we pass in. Then we'll have this guy. All right, so now we just want to be able to have a fixture for these failed messages too. So we'll do that. Passing that guy in. This will be message there. And then this guy will be we can say that its location details failed. And we'll pass in that error message. Okay. And then sample data over here for the reports. We know that we already have that, so we can check. What does that look like? So then this guy, this one's like a single item list, so we'll just have to handle that appropriately because we'll have to update our assertions there to be able to handle this because this one's bringing back, oh no, we could still do a single report there because we don't have to specifically pass in. Yeah, so we could do, so here we'll just say, yeah, let's delete all that still. Okay, here we're going to say for details, our next token is going to be false. And here we want, just say create reports, and that will give us a single report item there. Get one with a solve. And I'm a fan of using Faker too to fake this data out, so we could do that. Just right now, I'm using this as a surefire way to know what these values are, and then furthermore, we can go and improve this to where it is utilizing fake data. Something I've been interested in but haven't tested yet as well is doing property-based testing. So that could be something that we can apply here as well as we're testing these. But again, for right now, I'm just trying to get this going so that we can swap out these tests and then test the start creating the test for like, hey, how do we calculate the solve here? Okay, so we're going to say that we want a report. We'll say reports. Yeah, let's do reports. And then we'll say create report. And this is going to be a list of the one item. Okay, and then in here, we're going to replace this with sample reports. And then length of report should equal the length of sample reports. We probably actually could just do create reports here. And that should probably still pass. Let me just start running the tests over here to see. I do test Perseus, and these are going to be a local Falcon test. We'll see where we're at with these. Undefined function. Okay, so this guy we need to pass in false. All right, still got our passing tests. Oops. We'll keep that guy down here so we can see if it's passing. All right, so we're cleaning these reports up just a little bit to get rid of all the sample data that we're seeing in here. And then this guy, this is where we're passing a function to be able to decide, hey, now it's this, now it's that. But we actually replace that with a function already in our fixtures. So we can we can now say that this guy no longer is needed. The place ID, we still want the place ID to be passed in though. We don't know if we need it. We can have that passed in. But anyway, we'll delete that guy. We don't need that anymore. That'll shrink this test up quite a bit. And then now we have our next tokens there, which will be useful for passing them in. So as we call these functions, we have our reports and our next token. And then over here, this would be the same thing, except our next token there will be false. And then list reports by location. We get back these assert receives. We check these guys. So we'll say really could just do this reports. Sample reports there. Copy that name. And then down here, we'll say that we expect that both of these will be sample reports. Put that on the line. And this will be the length of all reports. Which basically is the same thing as saying that. So it's kind of redundant there. We don't really need those length checks, but we just expect those are the same. And then we could say, all right, I think we're almost done here. A couple more, and then we'll be done with these guys, at least cleaning this file up. But the whole goal here is just to be able to, we're going to add to this file now. Local Falcon is like where we're defining, hey, call out to this API, and we're basically just creating the bypasses here. My goal is to clean this file up a little bit because I want to work in here for being able to say, hey, what are the solves? Want to check the first solve in the list. Want to check the last solve, which is the current one. Do a calculation to check the average. So we're going to add them all together, divide by the number of items there. We get the average solve. Those are just going to be useful pieces of information that we want to display to the users, which they don't currently have as far as tracking performance for how they're doing for their clients. So just as a reminder of where we're going with all this, it is useful. Okay, so we're going to continue down this path. We're going to say location sample data and report sample data. No longer need those. So now here we're going to do location details. And then we'll pass in a location. Sample locations is going to be a list of create location. Sample location. And then sample reports is going to be create reports. And here we only really need one. And we need to create the, no, not create reports. We want reports requested details. And then we have the sample reports. And this test is specifically checking no pagination. So we'll say false on that one. Reports sample data. Which we don't have anymore. Report sample data. So here we want the sample reports, and we'll map over those. And we're actually checking on the place ID that we're passing in. So we will need to make sure that that's provided into this create report. Fixtures. Okay, so now on these ones, we will need to receive a Create report. Oh, so I'm not grabbing the place ID out of there. All right, so basically we really want these reports to have a little bit more information. So we'll say they have a place ID and a location with the same place ID. Okay. And then we're going to pass in place ID here. We're just going to default to 1, 2, 3, 4. Copy that. Copy that guy. And then we will say this one has the default place ID, and each of these are going to have this guy. Okay, we're adding this location ID, or sorry, this place ID so that these specific reports can be tied back to the same location. And that's just something that we had already in our test. So now we'll go up to place ID here, and we're going to say that the place ID that they had, pass that in here, place ID. So now when we pattern match these receives, it should have it, and we should get a passing test with that one. We have another one up here that probably needs it. Place ID. Checking that. Any of these other ones have it? Place ID, place ID. Then we get that passed in. Check that here. Get that guy passed in. I'm creating it there. Create reports, place ID. And then now I'm passing it in here. And expect to receive it there. I'm not receiving a passing test here because of that guy. Let's see here. Cert receive, API key, place ID. I am getting place ID on that one, it looks like. S147. Okay, so right here we're getting that issue. But why are we getting the issue here? All right, I'm missing something here. The value we're getting is this one. Because we take the place ID. Oh, I think we're just using a different place ID. So the one from the locations is really the one we need. Sample location. All right. Do this guy here. Now we should expect that it's the sample test data location there. Is this a different test? 147 still? All right, let's see. 147 still. So our sample locations, place ID, and then put that back in there. See why that's failing. Okay, all right, that fixed it. So it was just referencing the place ID from location, which we had a hard-coded one, which didn't line up, so that's why we're getting that issue. I think this is the last one here, so let's wrap this guy up. So we're gonna need this place ID, but that's gonna be from the location again. So we'll do, go ahead and delete all this. So we will copy this stuff here. I want to copy this guy. And this guy will be the next token thing. All right. So now we'll go to this place in the test. We're going to say, do all those things. We have our new place ID, get the location. This thing's going to be locations request data with the sample locations passed in. This is going to be this guy with the next token quoted, which we got. And this one will be this guy with false. And then we could still expect that place ID matches. We expect that the pagination worked with the next token. And then here we want to be able to say sample reports. Okay, all the tests are still passing, looking good. These are all cleaned up. Cool. Now it's a lot smaller of a file. All right, now we're going to say we're going to do we want to test the report solve. So we're going to do a test here on get the first first month solve. And we're going to say it's going to be 1. And here we're going to say this is going to be, we want to pass in the locations and reports and determine the first month's solve value. Okay, and then we want to test the current solve, and we're passing that and determine the current month solve. Okay, and then we want to calculate average solve, so passing that and calculate the average solve value for all the reports. And then another one we could do is, so it was first month, current month, average, and then what else do we need? We could do like current month to last month. So something like that, right? Where we pass in locations and calculate the difference of the previous and current solve values. All right, we can go through and run through these different test names, but basically this is going to set us up for success to start testing those things in the local Falcon context. So we'll be able to have that data structure we're already working with where we have all the reports lists for a specific location. We can even just pass the reports where we get a list of reports in, and then we'll just basically run the calculations on there. It might be useful if we're going to just for sure every time generate these, is we can have these as separate functions, but then separate functions that basically just receive, you know, like for the diff or whatever, right? We just pass in two solves, do a quick calculation, or for the average, you can basically accumulate those. However, if we're going to be running this for each location for all the reports, it might be useful just to kind of run through all these in one for loop or whatnot. That will allow us to basically create all these calculations without needing to iterate over the data every single time for each of these different metrics. So that'll be something we'll think through. This basically gets us in a good spot. We've cleaned up our test here to use fixtures. We spent a lot of time on that, but I think that was useful to kind of clean up. Hopefully that was helpful to see how can you start to use fixtures to pull stuff out of your actual test so it doesn't get too convoluted and messy and crazy. So now we have those fixtures files. We could, again, take it a step further and do like faker data or however we want to do that. But I just decided to at first just grab the real data, see what it looks like, start playing with it, and we'll start using those calculations. One of the things with faker data is I don't necessarily want to start off with like, hey, this is going to be basically a float value, but really it looks like we're getting those values back as strings. So just something to keep in mind there as we're playing with the calculations and whatnot. But all right, I think we're going to wrap it up there. We'll go ahead and call it a day. Hopefully you guys found this entertaining and interesting. Hopefully you learned something. I'd love your feedback. Feel free to leave a comment on the YouTube channel. And, I'd appreciate if you could subscribe and follow along if you're interested. I'm going to keep doing these, and hopefully they are helpful to some people. Just as a reminder, I am the founder of 10x.dev. We are actively looking to place Elixir developers in your company. We'd be happy to assist in that. We augment your entire interview process, taking that burden off of you, the hiring manager, and off of your engineering team for having to technically vet these candidates. So I run through challenges like these where I can technically assess developers on a pair programming session and see, hey, would they be a good fit for your company? So let me know your thoughts. I'd love to hear from you. If you're hiring, reach out to me. If you're a developer looking for a job, reach out to me. I can help connect you with different companies using Elixir, and you will have a great rest of your day.